will try not to bore you to death with PowerPoint. So if you have any questions, Bob and I are very interactive persons. We like the dynamics. So if you have any questions whatsoever, call them. Oh, okay. So to give you an idea what we've been doing in virtualization world, network virtualization, we started in 2015, and I was then also responsible for network innovation within KPN. And the Tom Poelhecke, he's now CTO of this company, but at that time he was the boss of my boss. And he asked me, okay, we should do something with virtualization, because I read in a McKinsey report that it's very promising. And I was like, oh man, what have I done wrong? Why me? That's the starting. That's the starting of the adventure. And as soon as I learned about it, I started reading about it, and I talked to some people who were already in that field active. I started to realize that this is something big. This is going to change the way we look at telecom networks. Not only in technology perspective, but also in the perspective of how we do things, so in the way of working, and in the perspective of how we can serve customers or what we can do with networks. And then it became more and more interesting to be part of this journey. So we started a community. And why is that? Because I figured, okay, if I start a program and it's an unknown area at that point, then I get the people that are left in an organization. So I start a program and I get all the assigned people, and you don't want them. You want the people who actually want to be there. So you don't want the people who are sent by their boss, but you want people who are interested in the topic and want to learn. So we started a community. And that means that we said to people, you're welcome to join us, but we have one requirement, and that is you organize your work in such a way that you have at least one day a week available voluntarily to this program. And that turned out to be a great success, because we got the people on board that are actually wanted to be there, and not the people who were sent by their manager. So we started with a very small group. I think we started with 3 people, and I think we are now well over 80 people. But I will come back later that in the community there is about 1,000 people. So I will introduce you. And we made a long journey. So last year we launched the first implementation of the telco cloud. So an actual virtualization environment that was carrier grade, and where we had functions that can talk to each other, and an SDN implementation beneath that. So I figure Bob will take you on the architecture and stuff like that. But in the meantime, we had an interesting journey within KPN, because we are also fighting the established order. So if you virtualize, you integrate IT capabilities and network capabilities, and that were 2 entirely different blood types within KPN. There's a lot of misunderstanding. There's a lot of old grudges that are still there, and we have to deal with that also. So it's very interesting. And now we are here at the community. And why are we here? We also figured that we need an entirely different set of people to do this. So even myself, I've been active in this field for now 2.5, 3 years, and still I can discover within myself my old way of thinking about networks. And we decided, okay, we need fresh young people that can think differently, that can be revolutionary instead of evolutionary. So that's why we decided to recruit 150 new young talents. And this event is basically meant to test if they're enthusiastic or not. So I hope Aladar and Doreen will do great business afterwards. But Go virtual, as I said, we have approximately 619 people in the community. What does that mean? That means in some way, from sales towards operations, innovation towards IT, data centers, each person involved is somehow connected to this program or contributing to this program. So we try to think like a startup. We try to think like an open source community. So that means that everything we know we share. We put it in our community. So if we discover new insights, we publish them. So it's general available knowledge to each one of the people addressed in this community. We are now in the steps of making our community external. So also share this knowledge with everybody who wants to know it in the market. But that's not a common way of doing things within KPN. So we are a little bit reluctant to that. But I think in the end of the day, we will start sharing this stuff also with our suppliers, with our partners, with our customers even. So share knowledge, and that's the way of thinking in a community. So we've built a test and proof of concept environment, and demo environment. And why do we do that? Because we noticed that in the beginning we had really a tough time explaining what is this about. It's not just another network. It's a different way of doing networks because you automate everything from the very start. So this stuff is auto-scaling, it's auto-healing, it's very different than what we do today. So we build demos to convince people, okay, if you see it, you believe it. I can talk all day on PowerPoint and you will think, yeah, right. But that's why we always do demos. We show people it's actually working, and it's actually very different than what we are doing today. So well over 1,000 people went through our demos. External customers, internal, we even took the board through these demos and the, how do you say that, the Raad van Commissarissen? Supervisory board. Also, they all went through the demo, and once you see it, you believe it, because it is different. And the demos that you can visit afterwards can show you that it's very different than the stuff you do today. And we visited some congresses and we presented our vision and got a lot of feedback on that. So what's this all about? And it's about becoming a digital telco. That's how do you say that? A mode term. That's a hype. Everybody wants to become digital somehow, but it's about your customer interaction. What you want to achieve is that everything you do with customers is somehow related to what the customer really wants and when he wants it and where he wants it. So you give full control of your services to your customers. And that's totally different than we were used to work, because in the past we built an IP network and then we say to our customers, now we have an IPVPN service and this is how it works and you can buy that from KPN. What you do here is in this digital telco world is you provide a portal of or a software development kit, and you say to your customers, well, here are the components and you can configure or build your own network the way you want it, the way it serves you best, the way it fits best into your own processes. And that's turning the whole innovation chain and the whole supply chain around. And that's what we're trying to achieve. So we figured out that virtualization could really help us there. Give your customers full control of what they want. So that's a simple idea, but it's not easy. Now, we also figured that we want to become much more agile than we are today. So if we have an idea now, and before realization we take approximately 9 months. So if we decide today to build something new, about 9 months later it's actually there. And we want to speed it up into 9 days, or 9 minutes, or 9 seconds. So that's a revolution, and that's also a new way of thinking. And the sourcing effectiveness is really what this is about. We were used to buying boxes from suppliers and then integrate these boxes into the existing KPN world and integrate them with IT and make them, etc. That was our process. What you do with virtualization is you basically make software, right? So you have your basic hardware, general available hardware, computer storage, auto compute platform, whatever, and you build software on top of that. So you need to have much more knowledge on how to do that. Configurations, but also programming skills. So we figured that our sourcing partners, our hardware partners, like Nokia or like Huawei, are much better than us in making hardware and making boxes. We need to become more and more efficient and more knowledgeable about making software, because there's a difference for our customers. So we came from an era where outsourcing was a big thing, so everything was outsourced, and we figured, yeah, if you step into this world, if you get into this digital telco world, you need to insource your programming capabilities, and that was also a big change on how we think about sourcing these kind of network building. So if you want to become a telco, you need to really rethink your requirements. So what's the network actually about? And these are the requirements that you can do with virtual networks, which you cannot do. Well, you can do them with hardware-based networks or with traditional networks, but it's far more difficult and far more expensive. So the first of all is we want to give every customer its own network. So personalization. Now, network slicing is a technology that is really suited to do that. So you basically copy all your software of your network and you configure it specifically for one customer or for the next or for the. So slicing is a big technology, a game changer. You want to have flexibility. So your network is not static anymore. By SDN and by virtualization, you can move all your network functions around. So you place your network functions there where it's most effective for your customer. So if your customer wants low latency responses of your network, you put the network function very close to your customer. If scaling or if efficiency is a requirement, and you put it central somewhere. So these requirements, they change if you start thinking about virtualization. Ease of use. So we've been talking in the industry for many moons now on it should be easy. But if you really think about it, if you read on, for example, KPN.com, what we ask of our customers to that they understand before they can make a decision, that's really complex. So we ask them all kinds of things that they need to think about. And in this virtualization world, you really want to keep that away from them. So you automate everything. And the example that we always use is Apple. That if you buy an Apple device, you plug it in and it configurates itself, and it's really easy to do that. If you want, you can click on the configure yourself button and you can get into really deep DHCP settings and whatever you need, bridge mode, whatever you want, you can do that with an Apple device. But in essentially, it's all shielded away from your customer. It's really like plug and it works. That's what KPN wants for its whole network, and you need to automate a lot to achieve that. The perception of infinitive capacity is something different. You cannot afford infinitive capacity. You need to build huge networks which are empty most of the time. But if you can shift your capacity towards there where it's needed, you can at least get the perception of infinitive capacity. But that takes a lot of intelligence in how you program these networks. So you need to have artificial intelligence, you need to have deep learning capabilities to allocate the capacity there where it's needed the most. You cannot do that by hand, it's too difficult, but you can program algorithms that can do that for you. And that's a different skill. And last of all, self-healing. So if you want to have a real-time response to your customer, you also need to have a real-time assurance. That means if you are in somewhere in the chain as a human, you are too slow. You need to automate that. So that's basically the new requirements that we set. So we also rethink the way we do things. So virtualization and the McKinsey report that I talked about earlier was about reducing costs. And I dare to say that nobody in this room is inspired by reducing costs. I'll probably get fired now from KPN by saying this, but you are not inspired by saving costs. But what makes the virtualization world so inspiring is if you turn the argument around. So if you do put customer experience at the central of what you're doing, if you do you build smart algorithms that you have infinitive capacity, if you do make auto-healing networks, so you need to really intelligently think about what you're doing in your network, then as a result your cost will drop. Now this sounds easy, right? It's just a reverse argument, but it's very difficult in your culture to have this way of thinking. So what we are looking for is people that can actually think from a customer perspective and then program the stuff that you would like as a customer. And as a result, things will get cheaper, but not the other way around, because that's not inspiring. So what we're doing, and Bob will take you into the depth of the architecture of what we're doing, but in essential, we have legacy networks, and basically everything we have today is legacy already, because it's appliance-based. And what we're doing is we have something called a standard hardware platform, like white boxes for forwarding, or like x86 platforms for compute and some virtual storage somewhere, and you're building networks on top of that. So your network functions is one part, and your software-defined networking is another part. That's what you're doing there, and you start automating everything you do. Everything you do, you automate. That's very difficult, but it makes your life much more easier. So on top of that, we put a very large, and that's also a fashion term, a very large API, and it basically means that you make your network programmable, and you every function you have, you expose towards your customers or your internal teams that can use your network functions to program the networks they like. And on top of that, you expose these network functions to your customers via a traditional OSS for the elderly in Friesland, so they can order a TV service if they like, or you build portals for people who know what they're doing. They can order complicated stuff like you do on Amazon. And the really interesting part is the software development kit, where you can provide your internal teams or your external customer programmable network. So a software development kit that they can use to program the KPN network. And that's the really interesting part. But you see that you want to have as much programmable stuff that you can make. And that's what we're doing. So from a customer perspective, so on top of that, if you look down, you don't know that you're on a legacy network or you're on a virtual network. You only see the function. And that decouples, that makes our life very easy, because you can migrate customers without them knowing it. And that's an essential capability. What we've done in the past, I think in 2003, we said, okay, we're going to throw away all the KPN networks and we're going to build all IP. We do that in 2 years, get rid of all the buildings. That's our strategy. And I think we're going to finish that program in 2021, 22. So think about that. It's 18 years of migration. You cannot afford that in the current world of what Facebook is doing with their networking, or what Amazon or Google are doing. You need to be more faster than we are today. So this virtual network is not some fun thing to do. It's an essential thing to do, because we are way too slow in migrating from old to new stuff. By decoupling it, you can do that much faster. Die ga jij behandelen. This is a cool picture. So we now have data centers in four large locations in the Netherlands. So in Zwolle, Arnhem, Rotterdam, Amsterdam, the Zaga locaties. There are huge data centers for the KPN network. And basically everything is centralized. So all your functions are centralized in data centers. And there's, I think, on the balance sheet of KPN is for about approximately 7 billion worth of equipment there. If you look at the line in the year report, 7 billion of plants, property and equipment is there. That's all in data centers. But what we're doing is we are virtualizing everything. So we basically are building a huge smartphone with apps on top of that, and these apps we can distribute. So we are decentralizing our network functions to metro cores, to central offices, or even to your home. So we are virtualizing also your CPE. So we can put stuff on there really close to the end user. So for example, if you want to use virtual reality or augmented reality stuff, you have to have really low latency times. You have to decentralize your functions as close to your customers as possible. So you cannot afford to do that in your central data center anymore. You need to put that really where your customer is. And that's what we're doing. And on the business side, the same thing. We are basically virtualizing our network and put stuff on x86 platforms or on white boxes near to you if you want it, or central if we need it. But this is what we do. So it's not about one static place. We are constantly moving these functions around in our telco cloud. And Bob will explain to you how we do that. Ga ik ook staan? Whatever. Ga ik ook staan? No, that wasn't. So are there any questions? Not all at once. Good. Then I have a question for you. My kids don't believe that the stuff I do every day, so I want to have a selfie with you in the background. Can we do that? I'm not, so just say hi to them. Yeah. Thank you. Ik heb nog vraag.